Bitcoin interest is blowing up all around the world. We're going to talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto Live. Welcome. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts. And today, like every single weekday, we're coming at you live from our studio in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. On today's show, we have an exciting packed show for you today. We're going to discuss Bitcoin, how it's faring overseas, the interest, a lot of buy Bitcoin Google searches, not only here in the US, but globally as well. Does that mean retail FOMO is going to start to come in? We're also talking about Bored Ape Yacht Club has won their lawsuit against Ryder Rips and that other weird guy who just asked people for ETH on Twitter. But before we get into any of the content, I'd like to introduce you to your other co-host, and that's Big Rob.
Hola, it's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment capital of the world here in Las Vegas, and we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel, where, unlike other channels, we actually deliver on those promises. There's no shortage of creators saying edutainment or... Anyways, they fall flat. Let's be real.
Damn.
We take old, boring, and steal information, and, well, we repackage it up the way we do, in a fun and sexy way.
How you been, man? Missed you yesterday.
Did you?
I did.
Is Bitcoin still over 30,000?
Bitcoin is still over 30.
Good.
Before we get any further, you guys know Friday is the only day we have a permanent 3-person co-host. That is with our friend Forrest. Forrest, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, the pleasure is all ours, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been like 4 days. We miss you, man. We miss you. I know big day coming up. Baby's almost here. No, we kind of talked before the show. Excited, nervous.
Can we live stream the baby? We'll bring our gear over to the hospital.
What the?
We'll just
Say no, Forrest. Say no.
Yeah, we can. Well, I'll ask my wife if we can live stream the birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Can
I? And I'll do the color commentary. There you go. So.
What an idiot. Guys, we also have another special guest in studio today. If you watched the show on Wednesday, you saw this gentleman. It's Aaron Malone, the founder of Collective Ventures, which is a VC firm. So, Aaron, welcome back to the channel, my friend. How are you doing?
Hey, David. A quite crazy night last night. I just woke up and found myself here. Thanks so much for putting me on. Are we on?
We're on.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, everybody.
Hey, man, Vegas gets to you, man. But what we say is just pretend like you've been here before, okay? Even though if you've never been here.
Sure. Sounds good.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a packed show today, but before we get any further, I do want to say a few thank yous to our channel sponsors. So today's 4K stream is brought to you by Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale when it comes to networking, IT, and of course, cybersecurity, which is more important than ever nowadays, you're going to want to hit up Blue Wire Tech. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Also, big thank you to Radix, Radically Better DeFi, the top layer 1 DeFi in our space. Amazing team, great roadmap, had a successful mainnet launch. And so actually on Monday, we'll be bringing on one of their largest dApps in their ecosystem, OkiSwap, to talk about the world of DEXs and where they think DeFi is going. So we're excited for that. And big thank you to Radix. Also, big thank you to all of you who post funny memes on Twitter, because I can't call it X. Is anyone saying X for good, or are you guys still kind of...
You're still saying Twitter?
Yeah.
It's always going to be Twitter.
I have refused. Thank you, Aaron.
Like it's the Great Western Forum, not Kia Center or whatever it is.
Staples. Well, now it's
Do you
crypto.com.
still call P. Diddy Puff Daddy?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Robin. Some things never die. Forrest, what about you? Are you X or are you Twitter?
I'm still holding out hope that he'll change it back to Twitter.
Yeah, that was
I'm not a fan of X.
You know, you guys are gonna be like the boomers here. I'm just letting y'all know. What do y'all have?
You're the oldest one out of all of them.
Do y'all have Macintosh telephones? Who has a Macintosh telephone here? Raise your hand.
I have a long distance plan with MCI.
Long distance plan. Oh man. Okay. Well, especially for us men, right? We do certain things, and when we can't justify it, we tend to point the finger and say, he made me do it, or this person is the reason I did it. Well, I don't know how else to set this one up, but here you go. I'll just leave it at the ghost makes him do it.
They want me to drink another whiskey, dude. That's a weird impulse. That is a weird impulse, man.
Billy starts acting very strange and has this sudden impulse to drink more whiskey.
Hey, out of all the times that we've been ghost hunting and stuff, I have never had an impulse. I want to drink that right now. I want another shot of this whiskey right now.
But then you're gonna be drunk.
It's the weirdest thing, though. Like, I want to do it. Can I just do it?
Well, you might get drunk.
Ghost, just guys, if you ever get in an argument with your spouse, just say the ghost made me do it, okay? It seems to work for this guy. Also, you know, gentlemen, have you ever been with a significant other who just, you get a really, really long text message, and what's the first thing that comes to mind? You typically think long text messages are a good, like some goods in there, or you've done something wrong, probably. Robin? You for sure done something wrong. Aaron?
The worst text is when I get a text that's only my first name and that's it. Then I know I've really
You
fucked
messed
up.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
Forrest, what about you?
Wait, you cut out. I'm
Sorry,
guessing by the
what
pause
about,
you
so
asked
what about
me.
you, Forrest? What about you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're really in trouble if you're getting the phone call, to be honest. If they're taking the time to write the text, that's okay because you've got time to collect your thoughts and respond. If you get hit on the spot with the phone call, that's a little tougher to think.
Just
on
say
your
the
feet.
ghost made me do it.
Look,
Yeah.
Let me tell you how to handle this. All right.
Okay. good.
Man with experience that has received plenty of these. If you write more than 5 words in response, you're going to get 5 more of those. So if you want to diffuse the situation, you just say, yep,
Thumbs up.
okay, no, you're crazy, leave me alone.
Huh.
Or we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
One of those 6 responses, you feed into that, you're jumping into a water of sharks. Just letting you know, you're going to get a whole bunch of those to follow.
Look at that.
Is a new indicator.
That is a book.
Yeah.
What did bro do wrong? Pray for this man.
Yeah, is she typing on an iPad?
Yeah.
Who does
You know
that?
it's serious when you're typing on an iPad.
That's like the worst look ever when someone's. You ever been to like a wedding and there's some old person there like taking photos with their iPad? Smile.
Why's it got to be old, man?
My favorite is when people will get on a Google Meet call or whatever and then use their cell phone to like share their screen because they don't know how to actually do it on the computer.
Freaking
Well,
boomers.
my dad
Old
does,
person special.
My dad does the texting on the iPad, and
Does he also take pictures of
okay, you know what he did
What?
when I was in the
Are
hospital.
you putting your dad on blast here?
Yeah, of course. So when I was in the hospital, dad being a loving father came and visited me every day. And he also brought his iPad and decided to text
To stream.
everybody that he knew with this iPad. And let's just say the man texts pretty slowly with the volume for the text keys at full blast. So I'm laying in the bed and I hear,
You didn't help him?
and I'm sitting back here in the bed just like, it sounded like a bunch of rats just like sneaking up behind me, man.
Man. All right. Rob, I figure you'd appreciate this one. You're a big bird guy,
My boy.
That's so cute.
I like how it doesn't roll over until it hears the sound. Doop. And then
Smart, man.
me going back to my old job after telling him 2 years ago that NFTs would make me a millionaire. I need my job back. Did you guys see that Andrew Tate 10-minute
Can
going off
Can
on?
we can we talk about that today?
Let's talk about it right now.
All right, I'll pull it up.
Real quick. Who saw that Andrew Tate 10-minute video just destroying NFT bros, some crypto bros? Did any of you watch that in its entirety? I
I
did.
think it was good.
Aaron, did you watch it?
I'm proud to say I have never heard anything from Andrew Tate.
Okay, fair enough.
0.
What about you,
Zero.
Forrest? You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's it's very true to some degree. I mean, there's some really interesting use cases for NFTs, but the profile pictures, they're in the gutter.
I would say that it puts into perspective the how someone basically how whales operate, because Andrew Tate has a lot of exposure to crypto. I think he doesn't even have he's touted that he doesn't have money in the bank because banks won't let him operate, and so he uses crypto. His university that he advertises, that is paid for in crypto, I think. So let me see. I see a bunch of clips on this, but it's pretty interesting, and I think he's spot on for what a progressive multimillionaire, perhaps billionaire, I don't know exactly what his net worth would be, how they view the crypto space, especially NFTs. And he's not wrong, man. You know, he's not wrong at all here. I found it.
At all. Nothing's wrong.
No, I mean, his perspective is
A lot of what he said, I can kind of
Yeah.
agree with, but there's some stuff in there you're like,
no. Well, when I say he's not wrong, I meant like the purchase price of Bored Apes when basically, to preface here, he's basically saying, hey, Bored Apes were $4 or $5 million at one point. So wasn't it? Didn't I get it up there?
let's say 150. Well, some were selling for $5-6 million.
Exactly. So basically, he's alluding to, hey, people bought Bored Apes for millions of dollars, and he was basically saying, hey, that's stupid. And then he kind of decides to.
Well, that would being my first Andrew Tate video. I have to say I'm his newest fan.
I mean, it's pretty spot on. You know, here's the thing: like, if you're going to have the JPEG, you're like, who has ever verified somebody else's?
Twitter has with the. Anyways, yeah.
It's like giving a girl what's that engagement ring, and then also giving her the certificate that it's been appraised. Don't need to appraise, babe. Here, take it. It's free. I paid 10 grand for it, I swear.
You're funny.
Like her girlfriends are checking. Can I see the certificate? Like,
Speaking of funny things, so Grandma ate half a quart of paint today, thinking it was yogurt.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Come on, Gam, what's wrong with you? That ain't mint chocolate chip ice cream. Speaking of
mint chocolate chip. If you eat mint chocolate chip ice cream, that's like brushing your teeth
yeah,
with dessert.
not very good.
Yeah.
Anyways, Rob, we didn't do a lot of OLAs to the chat yesterday, and I feel the people are neglected. Why don't you take a second, spend some time with our community members here?
Of course, yes.
Yell at them for the likes.
You know, I didn't see too many new people, but if you are new here, say hello so we can drop that hola back at you. We do have the Crypto Remora Sigma 231 LIH. And I know Sim's been here before, but
You know, you're like those telephone companies like Verizon and T-Mobile. They always give the good offers to the new people. What about the people that have been here?
and then I'm a Dorks in here, Jason C. I know it might not be your first time C's Crypto, but to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also, what's the club limit at today?
182.
182.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at 60 likes. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do us a favor, hit the like button. Otherwise, leave. Thank you.
Wow. Leave. Okay.
Right now.
Interesting. Speaking of leaving, Sam Bankman-Fried was told to leave. Well, no, sorry. The jury was told to leave during Sam Bankman-Fried's testimony. So here's a headline from the Crypto Potato. What a weird name for an editorial, right? Crypto Potato. Anyway, Sam Bankman-Fried takes the stand in court, but with no jury. So my immediate thing was, well, why? I'm not a lawyer. Decided to go to Google. Kind of confusing. So I hit up a friend of mine. Said, hey, I know your wife's a lawyer. Let me talk to her. So I got on the phone with her for about 20 minutes this morning. And I got some insight, got some info on as to why this would happen. So typically, this is according to what the lawyer said, when a judge dismisses a jury, they expect the conversation to be something like attorney-client privilege or physician-client privilege, to where it's not necessarily fact, but it's supposed to remain secret. And what they talked about was the messages that was being shared on Signal. So I asked the lawyer, I said, So is this a good thing for Sam or a bad thing for Sam that the jury wasn't able to hear this? And she seems to think it's a bad thing. And I kind of agree because for me, I look at, okay, when all this went down, what was Sam Bankman-Fried's defense? I never meant to hurt anyone. It wasn't my intent. We just let it get out of control. I'm sorry. And he actually convinced some people, Bill Ackman, to feel sorry for him, Kevin O'Leary. And he actually got some supporters in his side. But now you have a jury of peers who all they know about this guy is he's a fraudster. He committed fraud. He stole millions of dollars. They read headlines. They watch videos. And they don't get to hear from him or see him pout and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. Any thoughts on this trial? Anything going on? And apparently, during the trial, Sam Bankman-Fried has been just pointing the finger at people like Dan Friedberg, Gary Wang, saying it was them, they did it, I didn't know. Also, we have a couple of tweets here pertaining to the trial and Sam Bankman-Fried. What he's saying? Sam Bankman-Fried said he believed it was legal to take FTX customer funds through Alameda Research. Also, Sam is asked what market manipulation means, and he said at Jane Street, they called it a bad trade. So Jane Street is the world-famous quantum trading firm that is so exclusive, your chance of just getting an interview is less than 1 or 1/10%. So I guess, Rob, I'll start with you first. Any thoughts on any of this, or do you agree with me that him not, or the jury not being there when he testified is actually a negative for Sam?
Yeah, because it puts a veil of secrecy, right? And so in the jury's eye, like, you got to speculate a little bit, like, why isn't he talking in front of us? What's he got to say? And dude's already kind of on trial for misleading his users, right? And so the reason he's there is because he gained people's trust, and in doing so, behind the scenes, he was acting illicit and fraudulent and taking people's money and lying. And now he's in court and he's got something so secretive to say, and so, that he has to do it away from the jury. And then the jury comes back and they're supposed to look at this guy as a truthful, transparent guy that just messed up and, was so clueless that he didn't realize he was stealing people's money. Right? That's kind of his defense.
Yeah.
Is that he's supposed to have been operating and foolishly without experience, and other people had.
Here's another piece of info I got from the lawyer is when it's a criminal trial, it's not enough to get convicted by just doing a criminal activity. You have to prove intent. So that's why she said his argument is going to be, my intent was never to do this. I made mistakes, but my intent wasn't to defraud people. My intent wasn't to steal money. Aaron, do you have any thoughts on this whole situation and everything we kind of just went over?
Well, just that point right there, that intent has to be present is a complete joke. I don't believe in our justice system whatsoever. And given that Sam Bankman-Fried took hundreds of millions of dollars of customer funds and made political donations.
It was billions, actually.
And his parents work for the federal government. I thought he was going to get off completely free. They let him chill at his parents' house for the first 6 months of everything. And I think he thought it was just going to be a complete cakewalk and he was just going to get let go with a minor slap on the wrist. And now they're really seeming to drop their heel down on this guy's neck. And I don't understand what's going on.
Obviously, his family's got a lot of money, a lot of connections. And so, of course, growing up in that environment, you are probably sheltered from a lot of things. You have, you've seen your parents pay their way through certain things or whatever, but that's all speculation here and there.
He's the fall guy, man. I'm telling you.
I agree.
He's the fall guy for crypto, as somebody that politicians can point to, and it's convenient when you're trying to drive a narrative. Even in a positive, when you're trying to talk about crypto positively, like, hey, look, we have some regulation. This is what happened. This person got held accountable. Or on the other end of the spectrum, politicians can use Sam as fuel for why the crypto space is ripe with fraud. And so I think it's just somebody has to be accountable.
Yeah.
Somebody has to point the finger. You had BitConnect before, Mount Gox. Now with due course, like there's a reason those you point the finger at those because they were massive, massive events, and FTX was a massive event. So I think that he will be held accountable, and as he should be, right?
Hell yeah.
To that point, Rob, I met Sam at Bitcoin Miami a few years ago.
You met him.
I met him, and I approached him with one of my other investors. And we wanted to see if we wanted to work together on all those altruistic stuff that he had going on. And he literally just told us, we're in a meeting, please go away. And never followed up or anything like that. Of all the things FTX sponsored, which was literally everything, they never worked with the Crypto 101 podcast. They never even came on the show. And the only other person to do that in this industry is Justin Sun for obvious reasons. So when he painted his picture like that and wanted nothing to do with me, I said, something's up with this guy. But my intuition told me that he wasn't the one who was really driving the show. And he seemed like a good dude, energetically wise, but he had some really bad people giving him directions in his ear.
What are
So
you trying to say here?
I think there might be a giant money laundering scheme behind all this.
And he's the fall guy.
And he's
Rob
the
said.
fall guy. Yeah, like Rob said.
Okay. Forrest, what are your thoughts? Like we're going a little conspiracy here, Forrest. You're gonna bring us back to the middle here? Or what are you thinking?
I mean, I don't have anything that hasn't already been said. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Sorry, I'm dealing with a cold here. It wouldn't surprise me if there were people behind the scenes that were bad. I mean, clearly, I mean, they've got ties to, to the Democrat Party and, is making political donations, which is, pretty wild and inappropriate to to allocate customer funds to further a political cause. But yeah, I mean, send him to whether
Thank
he's
you,
the
Jeff.
fall guy or not, he's guilty. Whether there were other people involved or not, yeah, it'd be great to be able to root out other people behind, that were involved. But at the very least, I think in a situation like this, you have to have a fall guy, right? Even if it means that Caroline gets a reduced sentence or walks free, who knows? I don't know what she'll face. But even if it means other people involved get lighter sentences, he has to go to prison. I think his I think the prosecution knows that. I think at the end of the day, if they get him a harsh sentence, that's a win. If he gets off with a very light sentence or or off completely, then that's a major loss. So I think the focus is just to get him behind bars with a nasty sentence and let him be the fall guy. And then you've got the public that's a little less outraged as long as some form of justice is served against him in particular.
I want to ask all four of you real quick, and
Well, three of us.
Rocco too.
Oh, Rock.
Is Rocco not a person?
Stop it.
Hey, come
Rocco,
on.
you are included, man.
Yes, thank you. I like the
Really,
inclusion.
Robin?
You know what? Let's give
Yeah.
Rocco some screen time.
There we go.
we
Rocco,
go.
we appreciate
What a
you.
handsome man.
There we go. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I
Thank
dream my bed. every
David
day.
might.
That's
David
for
might not.
sure.
David, shame on you.
What do you
All right, so I want to ask the four of you if Sam Bankman-Fried spends somewhere between 3 and 8 years in prison, is that
No,
falling short of
Yes.
what he deserved?
absolutely.
Do you think that's just?
No.
Okay, so
Wait,
so
what
no,
was
he
it?
needs to spend more than 8 years in prison.
Hell yeah, bro. He needs to spend the rest of his life in jail.
Rest of his life.
The rest of his life.
So you can drink and get a DUI, kill
He
somebody.
didn't drink and get a DUI.
I'm just
He
saying.
ruined
No,
people's
I'm saying
lives.
that you can drink a DUI, kill somebody, manslaughter, probably do less time.
Like, hey, man, actions have consequences. I'm sorry, man. You're a big boy. You're 31 years old, 32, whatever, how old he is. You're a vegan.
And you're going around the world preaching about doing good and that you can't tell right from wrong. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So you're deserves more than 8 years.
Life in prison. If Ross Ulbricht is in there for life, he should get double life.
Great.
Rocco,
Great point.
Rocco,
Aaron-
your opinion is valued here.
Yes.
What would he face in Italy, Rocco?
In Italy, we let him go free. And then they're going to find he has some sort of accident somehow.
So just like the U.S. No, he deserves to spend life.
Of course. More than 8 years?
I think anything less than 25 years, 20 to 25 years is a gross injustice. I think if he got 25 years, I think he deserves more than 25 years, but I think if he got 25 years plus, you're going to have people like, okay, it could be more, but it's also a heck of a lot worse than getting 8 years. So I think that number for me is like, I'd like to see 20 to 25 years plus.
And then what's the chat think? So put a 1 in the chat if it is just. If you feel like less than 8 years is enough, 3 to 8 years, he did his time. Or put a 2 in the chat and like, lock him up.
Here's
Never see sunlight again.
Here's the other thing. It's not just about what does justice feel like, but how much of a punishment is a disincentivization so no one else does this again. You don't disincentivize this kind of behavior harshly, you're supporting scams in crypto, which the SEC clearly is by their not ever chasing after any of the bad actors in this space until it's way too late. So are we ever going to get this industry cleaned up? That's my real question.
I don't stand quite as aggressive as you guys. I think 8 years and less would be a slap on the wrist, and I think that would be negative for us. But
let me steal $1 billion right now. I'll do 8 years. Where do I sign?
No. I agree. I think that's a slap on the wrist. I think he deserves more time. I don't really stand on the side that he needs to be locked up for life. I think that you lose your entire life because you were greedy and stole money. I think we've all had. I mean, honestly, I just don't think dude should do life in prison for stealing money. I don't. And I mean, y'all can get mad. I don't know, maybe 15 years in prison, 10, 12 years, something like that.
Do you think Martin Shkreli or whatever his name is, Shkreli, do you think his sentence was justice? He learned his lesson. Do you feel good about him walking around and banging Tiffany Fong right now?
That's dude.
I'm saying that there should be justice. I just don't think that, in my opinion, for money, because money comes and go. Everybody's gonna get money. Everybody that I would say, I don't want to say everybody, but majority of the people that lost money in FTX, even they're gonna get some recourse. They're gonna get money back, and I just don't know if basically ending someone's life over money. I just never value money that much. I don't. If you stole $100,000 from me, $1 million, I want you to be held accountable, but I wouldn't want to see that person be basically put to death behind in a cage. I don't. That's just the way I look at it. And so I'm not saying, and if it was any other person, if it was somebody that stole money, whether they worked at a bank or, I just don't, for me personally, I don't think that it's just to lock somebody up for the rest of their life. They never have any smell of freedom ever again over money. I just think I think that life in prison should be saved for rapists, pedophiles, murderers. I think people that take people's lives. I think that's where it should be. And I think money is, I can always get more money. You steal money from me, I'll go get some more.
Guys, if the show ever goes under, you know where to find Robin in a courtroom as a defense lawyer.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, though, Rob. What if we bring back hard labor? Like sentence SBF to like 10 years of hard labor of crypto education. He just has to be out on the street onboarding people into Exodus Wallet all day long or something, you know? Got to do computer hacker classes or teaching
I do think
Excel spreadsheets.
I think that the punishments that we have now is just basically sell or freedom. I think we need more options, man. You know, how about
he'll be doing how-to videos on how to use QuickBooks on your desktop.
I just learned what necklacing is this week. That might be a little bit too harsh for SBF, but we could at least bring it back as an option in the U.S.
Necklacing. I don't even want to get into that, okay? But what I do want to get into, I want to move on from Sam, and I want to move from Sam to this man, Mr. Fetterman. Senate Banking Committee hearing. And here was Mr. Fetterman, who's a senator from the state of Pennsylvania, trying to corner this lady who he's trying to get a certain answer from. We've seen this from the likes of E. Warren and everyone else. So
why does he look like he just shotguns twisted iced tea cans? Like
he probably does. Let's watch the video.
Here today, experts, and it's always a treat to be here when I'm able to talk to people much smarter than I am. And this last time I was in this very same chair, we were talking about crypto, and I asked the experts, and I said, a couple questions, and they were kind of fundamental. Is like, and I just want to ask you as well too, as experts, should crypto exist? In other words, where should it exist? Like, why should it endure? If anyone has any answers.
Happy to assist. Actually, that's the exact question that I was asked by the Ministry of Finance in Israel a couple of years ago. And he asked me, you know what, let's just outlaw everything, this entire crypto. It's going to be used for bad purposes. And I told him, Mr. Minister, unfortunately, the technology is out there. So it's not a question whether you like it or not. You need to manage the risk and find the ways to actually supervise that and make sure that it will be compliant. So there are good uses of crypto, financial inclusion, and many others. At the same time, we have to be very strict to make sure that the legislative framework is addressing the concerns that we have. We have to make sure that all platforms are compliant, that we have very clear rules, that all countries are enforcing them in a similar manner, and that we are not letting other countries to get off the hook and actually encourage environment in which bad actors can work. We could create, together with the FATF, a gray list of those countries and make sure that they are publicly announced, and then we'll have better, in addition to other tools, we'll have better way to monitor what's going on there rather than just, assume that it doesn't happening.
Yeah, and so where does the value assigned to crypto come from? Where does it come from? Because it's really just a mathematical idea, kind of for me feels like it's a gimmick, but where does the value of that come from other than there's not somebody kind of less informed that I'll pay more than what you just, bought it for. So anyone have any thoughts on that?
Well, I can answer again. I mean, there are some rationale, having a more decentralized economy and theories behind that.
Let me ask you guys a question. I ask you, what is Bitcoin backed by? What gives Bitcoin value? Robin, what's your answer?
Free market.
Free market.
And the price that people are willing to pay.
Okay. Aaron, what about you?
The energy that it took to generate it.
Okay. Forrest, what about you?
I'd say what backs the U.S. dollar.
Okay.
With Bitcoin in particular, it's its ability to send money in a decentralized manner, and whatever somebody's willing to pay for that ability to send money in a decentralized manner.
For me, my first question is, well, why do people believe in the dollar, right? It's backed by nothing. And, you get the answers like, we're the world reserve currency. Okay, but that's not really backed by anything. Oh, our U.S. military is strong. Okay. Well, Bitcoin is backed by the largest, most decentralized public ledger in the world. And to me, that has more value than the full faith and credit of a government who can't balance a checkbook. Sorry. And when it comes to crypto, it's an even easier answer. You relate it to people like this. And I'm sure you guys are going to get those questions. I'm sure you have gotten those questions. But certain tokens, ecosystem tokens, let's take Ethereum, for example. Ether token is the gasoline that makes the Ethereum blockchain run. Just like your car needs gasoline, Ethereum blockchain needs gasoline. And that gasoline is in the form of the Ether token. Pretty damn simple. So it's important because these are the questions we continue to get from the same people, and John Fetterman is a perfect example. And then I just want to let her finish out the rest of them. People keep saying laser eye, David.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that this discussion, even if it was relevant a couple of years ago, it doesn't matter anymore because the technology is there, and it's not something that is possible now, to decide. Enough people think that there is value and they're spending the money on it. And of course, illicit actors are using that as well, no doubt about it. So I think that the major challenge that we should focus on our energy on is how to make sure that their options are being smaller and that we're closing the gaps as much as possible these days.
So pretty much crypto is here. You can't do anything about it. So figure out a way to regulate it and make some money off taxes, right? Gentlemen, any thoughts on what we're hearing? We're continuing to hear from senators still asking the question, should crypto even exist? And what are your thoughts on the responses? Forrest, I'll start with you first.
I mean, no, it's pretty straightforward. I understand where people come from. Like, look, I get that it's like, understanding what Bitcoin is and what crypto is such a, not only is it a new concept, but it is complicated. Like when you get into like decentralized systems, like you're getting into computer science where the vast majority of people have literally zero education. Like unless you're taking computer science courses in college, like you're just not going to understand decentralized systems. You're not going to understand how mining works. You're not going to understand hashing algorithms. You're not going to understand any of that. So like I get when somebody's like, oh, there's this digital coin and anybody can make digital coins. Anyone can make ERC20 tokens. What gives one value over the other? Like I genuinely understand the point of view, and I think it just comes from a lack of education. And there comes a point where there's certain people that are just never going to educate themselves on it. But I do think that education is a really important point to focus on. If you can educate the majority, then the rest of people will just kind of go along regardless. But yeah, I think it's just coming from a point of lack of education on a concept that admittedly is complex. To the point of these people that are uneducated on the concept, it is a difficult concept to grasp. And on top of that, you get like these layers of dilution on top of it. So, you make the argument about Bitcoin, but then you've got Ethereum, and then you've got all these altcoins, and then you've got monkey JPEGs, and you get into the idea of what gives a JPEG, an NFT value. And it can just get extrapolated so far that it can get away from you pretty quickly. So I do understand the argument there, but I think it just boils down to one thing, and that one thing is education.
Yeah, where do them JPEGs get their value from?
This guy's killing it. Where's he been all my life?
Y'all want to watch more of it?
No.
Okay. I just thought it was funny. It was just like crypto influencers are stupid.
I think he was talking about you.
You think so?
No.
Here's the thing. Once the technology is there, you can't decide not to use it, right? You can say, hey, we're not a fan of guns and cannons, and we're going to just stick with swords and our samurai tactics and go to war. Like, it doesn't work that way. You can ignore the emerging technology. You can say that the internet is bad and we don't want it here. And then you can have all the lights off like North Korea. But the thing is you either embrace it or you get left behind and you lose out on the potential to take the next step forward with technology.
Did you say samurai tactics?
Yeah. Samurais went to battle with full armies with
I know,
guns
I've
and
never
cannons.
heard that term, samurai tactics. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can say, hey, we're going to fight with pride, and you have your sword and you can charge into battle against cannons and muskets and rifles. You're going to get left behind, man. You got to embrace technology or that's it, bro.
Aaron, any thoughts on
Samurai tactics?
No. Any thoughts on the continuous dumb questions from the senators? And Forrest said it's complex, but Forrest, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
If you're a politician that's making rules and regulations regarding a space, or you want to, you're pushing for rules, you should probably understand or listen to people who understand how it works if you don't want to take the time to learn it yourself.
Or wear a suit.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Robert Vermouth in the chat. He gave a great answer, and that people who don't understand Bitcoin fundamentally don't understand what money is. And that's the truth. And there are so many people like that in our society at the very top echelon. For example, my aunt is one of the most incredible people I've known. She's still working full-time today at the age of 85. She's held a very, very tough position. And I don't want to give away who she is by saying what it is, but she's gone through death threats, all kinds of stuff, self-taught her own legal work, represents herself in court. One of the most well-educated and tough people I know. Doesn't know how money works. Didn't even know that the US was off the gold standard until I told her 2 years ago. So there's a huge disconnect between when something really happens or something new happens in society and by the time it filters down to the general public, which is usually sometime after law enforcement and law management. You know, if you're ever in the hacking scene, you know, security holes are usually open in the wild for 1 to 2 years before they're ever found and then eventually patched. And if they make the news at some point and the general public knows about it, I mean, it's years later. We've seen this happen in Linux all the time, but that's a complete detraction. I think that Bitcoin, because of its early days of being used to buy drugs on Silk Road, still carries that stigma with it. And for people that have only heard that and only heard bad news because they watch the news and that's how they get their opinions, it's going to be tough to explain to them, like, well, it's actually being used for a lot of good things too. But my favorite detraction from all this is Steve Mnuchin, the moron from the last administration, going, I can't recall a time cash has ever been used for an illegal activity.
Me neither. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
Maybe because you're wiring all your money laundering offshore.
You know, we're at a point where more and more people are starting to realize this thing is here to stay, right? The they fight you stage, we're coming to a close on that, right? You still have some people that are going to push back, but eventually they're all going to have to come around. They're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to come around. Let's get into the markets here, guys. Take a look. So crypto markets starting to cool off just a little bit. Bitcoin is still over $33,000, coming in at $33,638. The fear and greed index is still over 70. So we are officially in greed, coming in at a hot 71. The 24-hour volume is down from 100 billion just a few days ago down to the high 30s. The rest of the top 10 looks like this. ETH at 617.67, BNB token 223, XRP 54 cents, Solana holding steady over $30, Cardano 28 cents. Now, I want to stop there real quick and then we're going to go to the charts. Aaron, you were here Wednesday. After we stopped the show, Cardano was brought up. You dropped some alpha. And if you're okay with it, we'd love for you to share some of that with our community.
Sure.
I said Cardano doesn't really have the institutional interest. Obviously, VCs aren't pumping money into it. We don't see a lot of the headline grabbing partnerships that you see with some like Polygon, Solana. But you said they got something in the tank. And do you mind kind of talking about that?
Yeah. So Cardano isn't positioning itself for retail so much. It's got much bigger ambitions. It's focused on global identity, working with international government. And to that point, they have built some staking pools for the United Nations where they can put Cardano tokens in there, 88, and delegate where that stake is going within the UN. So this is an incredibly powerful thing. It was built by a team called Dega, if I remember correctly. And there's a ton of stuff that's going on Cardano that's very, very under the radar right now. They know how this space works. They're not burning amazing news during a bear market, but some free alpha for everyone. If you want to go where the puck is, if you want to skate where the puck is going, go on Twitter and follow Proof of GitHub. At Proof of GitHub was an amazing tool built by Bagsy, and it's showing the top development in ecosystems every day. And you'll see Cardano is continuously, almost every day, in the top 5, if not the top 10.
So this is the Twitter handle. I wasn't even following. I just follow it right now. Proof of GitHub. Yeah, created by Bagsy. Yeah, you're right. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, number 1, 808 Cardano. Here's the thing, though. We see stuff like Polkadot up here, but Polkadot's not really,
Well, it's not necessarily Polkadot itself. These are things that are being built on top of it.
parachains.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. So, guys, there you go. United Nations, Cardano. We might not see the headline grabbing news or stories, but apparently they're working on a much larger scale. And maybe, because I've said on this channel, I've said, hey, Cardano's always been retail driven. We know what we know what macro looks like. Retail's kind of screwed, right? Inflation's so high. Their savings are being drawn down on. They're losing spending power. Maybe Cardano doesn't 10, 20, 30x like it's done before. But hey, with this new news, who knows? Maybe. With that being said, Forrest, before we go to any charts, I do want to share this as well. And maybe if you can tie that into your TA. So this was a headline from CoinTurk. An analyst predicts a 3 to 6 week altcoin rally in the middle of Bitcoin's bull market. Can we take a look at Bitcoin, Forrest? Obviously, we're starting to cool off a little bit. We're looking to consolidate. What does the structure of Bitcoin look like? And are you seeing anything pertaining to this headline here that we can potentially see a 3 to 6 week altcoin rally in the next few weeks?
Sure. Yeah. Let's share my screen here. So the first chart I want to go over is actually just relevant because the big question that I have, because I am in the camp of economic recession in 2024, and I'm not trying to be alarmist or anything like that. I just think that there's a lot of potential for hard landing. And the biggest question I have in all of this is Bitcoin going to trade like a tech stock, or is it going to trade like gold? I think there's an argument for both. So this is a chart now that I've been paying a lot of attention to, and you actually see gold is rallying today, but really rallying hard since October 5th or so. So basically all of October, gold has been rallying very hard. But then what's interesting is that kind of led this rally, and then the S&P 500 here in blue has been crashing recently. But Bitcoin also decoupled from the S&P 500 and is recently, at least in the last the last month or so, it's been trading a lot more like gold, which is very interesting to me. So we're only on the hourly chart here, but now I'll switch to a Bitcoin chart. It's just something to pay attention to. And gold is breaking out right now. Bitcoin is kind of trading in line with S&P 500 today, but this is all consolidation. We'll see if this gold rally could lead to a Bitcoin rally. Now going to the actual Bitcoin chart, we are just kind of range trading right now. We have our range high up here at around 35 or 34.7K, and we kind of came down and established this range low of this initial correction, and that's where we're testing right now. We had some consolidation patterns, maybe a little triangle there that we failed to break out of and came back down. The big question here for Bitcoin is, are we going to get continuation, meaning are we going to establish and hold this range and move back up to the top of the range and continue upwards, which would be pretty reasonable, nothing too crazy. Oftentimes you'll see, essentially a bull flag. You can draw it in different ways. You can, draw it something like that, or something like that. But what that ultimately comes down to is just bullish consolidation, or consolidation that leads to continuation. We're not seeing any major signs of reversal aside from the lower high. If we make a lower low down here, yeah, you could then get your bull flag. It gets a little bit, more, it gets a little bit tougher there, but we're not seeing any major signs of bearish divergence pushing us back down or anything that's extraordinarily concerning. That being said, in my opinion, it is still very, I guess not my opinion, but objectively, it is very common. And I'll actually go to a different Bitcoin chart here, just to grab one that's a little bit more, clean and open. And I'll throw on a couple of very simple indicators here. One is our 21-week simple moving average. I'll go out to the chart and just show you guys what is so common to happen when we cross through this 21-week simple moving average and we break out of a range. So you saw us trading between this 18 and 25K range, right, with our 21-week simple moving average coming down. What happened when we broke through it? We moved to the top of the range, right, and we back tested the 21-week simple moving average. Then we broke through 25K, right, and then we back tested the 21-week simple moving average and the top of our range, right? Then we moved back to the top of the 31K range that we established. We moved through the 21-week simple moving average and once again back tested 25K. Now we've moved through the 21-week simple moving average. What is very common, and I'll throw this 31K range high on, what is very common when you move out of a range is to move to either the top of the next range or the midpoint of the next range, right? And very frequently you back test the prior range. So we do have some time here. The 21-week simple moving average is coming up. If we get an opportunity to buy a back test of the range, an overlap of the back test of the range and the 21-week simple moving average, that to me is a really good buying opportunity, right? So if this comes back down, maybe it goes to 39K first, right? Maybe we get continuation. But if this does come back down to 30, 31K, and you got this 21-week simple moving average coming in behind, that's a great buying opportunity in my opinion. Of course, it could fail, and then we talk about a rotation, a big deviation, a rotation back down to the bottom of the range. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll wait for that 21-week simple moving average to come up, and we'll take that one step at a time. But to answer your question about alts, yeah, I mean, we're starting to see some frothiness, some speculation on a lot of altcoin charts. We're seeing charts, I'll just kind of randomly pick one that I've been watching, which is, not necessarily, meaning that I'm bullish on this particular cryptocurrency, but there's a lot of charts that, and I think I moved it up in my watch list here. There's a lot of charts that look like this, that, a lot of
What chart is that one,
altcoin
Forrest?
charts. This is the graph. This is the
BRT.
graph. So, it's not something that I'm necessarily fundamentally super bullish on, but it's a chart that is, technically looking decently bullish. You're jamming up through this downtrend line, jamming up through this 21-week simple moving average. And if you can hold it and get consolidation on top, you can get continuation. And we could get a bull market, not a bull market, an altcoin, rally out of a lot of these coins. Another great example that I've been watching and, that I'm personally trading right now, I bought some when we crossed $100, is, if I can find it, QNT. Right. And I think we could get a back test here, certainly back down at $100. I think you could get an opportunity to buy this back at $100. We're at 106 right now. But you have, a downtrend line, our 21-week simple moving average, capping the price action, and then a very fast, sudden break of that downtrend line and 21-week simple moving average with volume. Right. So wouldn't be surprising to get a back test. And if we fail the back test, right, you just stop yourself out. But if we hold the back test, there's very likely considerable upside. I'll give you a perfect example of what we saw out of QNT the last time it broke through this 21-week simple moving average. It dropped down to $43, right? And you could have missed the entire first part of the rally. But if you were paying attention when it broke through this 21-week simple moving average, then back tested it multiple times, it still pushed from $80, $90 all the way up above $200. So there's absolutely, and on top of that, right, again, same exact pattern, breaking through that downtrend, right? You're just drawing a simple downtrend level here. You connect the dots, right? Downtrend and 21-week simple moving average, breaking it with volume, back testing it, right? Holding that back test, it creates room to potentially run further. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to run further. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get an altcoin cycle. We could fail, we could come back down and get stuffed back down below this 21-week simple moving average like we did over here and, continue chopping sideways. But there's certainly the conditions, the liquidity entering the market, all this money coming into Bitcoin, it does rotate. It rotates around. People sell their Bitcoin and they speculate on alts, and then, they make money on alts and rotate it back into Bitcoin. And the cycle goes, so on and so forth. But if we see Bitcoin continue to perform well, it very likely drags some altcoins up with it. Now, there's going to be a lot of altcoins that underperform and continue to underperform. I think there will be some quality ones that break out and show positive price action here, as long as Bitcoin can hold, or hold this consolidation range that we're currently in up here. Or if we break down, alts probably get wrecked for a time. Probably get wrecked for a time, but we're looking to kind of back test this region right here, 30 to 31K, 21-week simple moving average. We get something like that, then Bitcoin, maybe rips to 37 to 39K. Speculating here heavily, obviously speculating out in the future heavily. And then maybe you get your altcoin run, closer to December, January. The last thing I'll say in this case is, while I am worried about the economy going into next year, historically, Bitcoin runs in Q4 and Ethereum runs in Q1. So, January is usually historically a good month for Ethereum, which, could lend some credence to the idea of like we get a kind of a long drawn out bleed out like we've seen in the past. after these big moves for Bitcoin. You big move, long bleed out, back test the range, right? 29, 30K. And then, a move, sometime in early 2024. But again, very speculative, going down a path of speculation there. But I'll pass it back to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Forrest. Rob, I'm now passing the baton to you.
Okay. Well, I do want to give a little love to the chat, and if you're new here, say hello so we can drop that hola back at you. We have about 130 likes. We're trying to get to 180, about 50 away to open up the club. Not sure if we'll get there, but it's not too late. I do want to give a shout out to Jane Allbeads, Enric Suave, Lance, 1 in 20 million, or 1 in 21 million. We also have the letter A, nothing else to follow, and also P9 into the cosmos, and Simple to all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City.
Welcome. Aaron, you had a little interesting sidebar with me about market cap. You want to kind of talk about that?
Yeah, I saw a lot of price predictions going on in the chat, and I think that's kind of the wrong way to look at things because market cap is really kind of what dictates fair value in one way or another. And price is always relative to the value of something else. And I think that's something that we really need to ask ourselves as we're looking to take profit at this next bull run. For example, what I used last bull run was the market cap of eBay. eBay is a big website, very useful to society. It topped out at around 39 billion. It's currently sitting around $20 billion. Cardano has a market cap of about $10 billion right now. There's not really much going on it, but it's still half the value of eBay, one of the most cornerstones of Web 2. Cardano shot up to some absurd number last time, topped out at $3.09 a token. But at a market cap, it was just absolutely enormous. And I'm looking at this thing, one of my favorite tokens, going, this thing does nothing for the world currently, yet it's worth like 3 times what eBay is. That's not a buying opportunity. I need to get the hell out of my position while I can. And sure enough, it's crashed back down here. Now, as more things get built on Cardano over the next couple years before the end of the next bull run, you may think that this is going to justify a $5, $6 price, but it could work the other way because right now Cardano's in its fantasy phase, the price discovery phase where anything can happen. But once stuff actually does happen on here, it's not a fantasy anymore. It's, well, what is it actually doing? How much value is actually locked in this ecosystem? Has it fulfilled its promise? Of course, it's going to be a much longer term project that's going to take maybe 10 or 20 years before it reaches its full potential. But I could definitely see Cardano topping out under $2 next bull run and not even setting a new all-time high. And that's still a long ways away from here. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand market cap when you're looking at an investment opportunity. It's one of the reasons why I dislike XRP so much. If XRP was at a $10 million market cap, you could say, okay, I'm going to justify taking a position. But this thing is absolutely enormous. And while Ripple made presence at Money 2020, they had nothing talking about XRP. And all their flyers were talking about making technology for central bank digital currencies.
I'm going to push back on you.
Go completely against.
I'm going to push back on you on XRP. I think when you look at XRP valuation, you look at what are they looking to do, right? Look at their space, remittance payments, global remittance. You look at Visa, MasterCard. What's their market cap look like?
Sure.
Right. So I think it's actually undervalued. And I think the value of the XRP token has been suppressed by this lawsuit. And I think once the lawsuit is completely over and we get in a bull market, I think we're going to see the $3, $4, $5 XRP. And I think it's going to be just.
You would be right, except that they don't use the XRP or XRPL for any of their products.
Well, that remains to be seen. We know though all the partnerships are making the whole ISO 222.
Well, I asked them myself.
But
so
what are the partnerships? Here's the thing: like, what is they have a handful of them, but like, I see what you're saying. $30 billion market cap on the token, and is a lot of promises, and it's all about like, hey, we will be the leader. We're going. The whole thing is that every bank's going to use it. All the institutions are going to use it. It's going to be bigger than Visa. But yet that's still kind of a pipe dream. A lot has to happen. And also a lot of time has to pass. Even if they do fulfill all of the promises that the XRP community is touting, I would, even if that all comes true, I mean, how long down the road is it? 7, 8 years, 10 years?
I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I love the passion of the XRP army. I really, really do. And I want the best for all of them, which is why I want to kind of counter the elation with some of the information that I have. There's no institutions that hold XRP, zero, no hedge funds, because the XRP token itself is designed to kind of be a stable coin. In the process of cross-border payments and remittance, it needs to be the same price when the receiver gets it in a few seconds as the sender sent it to them. So the idea of XRP is eventually to be a highly liquid, more or less loose stable coin. And in fact, that's Bitcoin's end game as well. But until then, XRPL is used kind of like a downstream open source version of what their enterprise products are. And they get technological upgrades that are sent over to there. But there hasn't been anything built on XRPL. And Ripple has all but told me they don't plan on building anything there. They're going for their enterprise use case because that's what makes them money. And there's no value that's being driven to the XRP token from Ripple or their profits. So when they got sued saying XRP was a security, I laughed. So there's nothing about XRP that is a security whatsoever.
Okay. That's an interesting take. I don't know. I do think you're more obviously. I'm not going to push back on the institutions holding it. I think that's kind of more your space, but I do think there are people and institutions using XRP, and to the whole, it has to kind of be more stable. I think that's where you have these third parties like BitPay come in, where they kind of settle on the back end almost immediately. So there's very minute, unless you like at the very exact moment there's a massive dump or pump, then I'm sure they have safeguards in place. But that's neither here nor there. I do want to move on to this real quick, guys.
Sure.
So we talked about it. I said in the beginning of the show, Bitcoin is starting to heat up around the globe. Buy Bitcoin search queries on Google surge 826% in the United Kingdom, grown by more than 800% last week. This is a quote from a spokesperson from cryptogambling.tv. The remarkable surge in buy Bitcoin searches in the UK, combined with the crypto's resurgence, underscores a growing interest and potential impact of traditional financial institutions' involvement in the world of digital assets. According to data from Google Trends, searches from users in the United States for "should I buy Bitcoin now" increased by more than 2.5 times, while more niche searches, including "can I buy Bitcoin on Fidelity," increased over 3,100% in the last week. And then you also have this: Korean crypto market surges with 6 million investors flocking to altcoins on centralized exchanges. The Korean crypto market is poised for a remarkable surge, with a number of crypto investors in South Korea expected to reach 6 million, which is over 10% of the nation's total population. And most of these investors participate in centralized exchanges. So, Forrest, I'll ask you first. We talk about retail. Institutions are going to drive the next wave. What is this insight into the trends and what people are searching? What does this tell you? And what can we expect moving forward into the next market cycle?
I think a little bit of it may be following price action, right? If price starts going up, obviously interest is going to surge. I also think it's a timing thing, right? We've seen this Bitcoin halving cycle play out in a way, in a very predictable way in the past. And I think a lot of people are, getting savvy to the whole idea of a Bitcoin market cycle, and everybody and their brothers predicting another, Bitcoin bull market after the Bitcoin halving. And fourth time's the charm. So I think there's definitely surging interest in Bitcoin. Then you've got the Bitcoin ETF. I think Bitcoin is carrying a lot of weight around the news. I think there's more and more interest. And then when you get into other ways that it makes headlines. You're looking into what was I going to say? I'm drawing a blank on my last point here.
Bitcoin 70K.
No, the inflation, right? You get into like all this, the struggle that we're seeing and like predictions of recession and talks of inflation and hyperinflation in certain parts of the world. I think Bitcoin gets increasingly brought into that conversation, and that's why, look, I've been a Bitcoin critic in the past in some ways. And I'm uncertain. Getting back to my point earlier of I don't know if it's going to trade like a tech stock or like gold. I'm more and more open to the idea that it trades like gold, and I'm very, very bullish on gold because it continually keeps getting brought up in this discussion of inflation, store of value, recession proof, flight to risk off, flight to quality. Right? You've got Larry Fink on Fox Business talking about it being a flight to quality or whatever the term that he used was. So I don't know. I think it's definitely in the zeitgeist right now. I think it's making a surge when it comes to search results, and that makes sense based on the price action.
Rob, do you agree? What are your thoughts?
Fish, chips, and Bitcoin, man. What else you need in England, bro?
Gordon Ramsay, he was on the thumbnail today. Gordon Ramsay's such a cool dude. Love GR.
He's all right.
Anyways, got any thoughts on this, Rob?
No, I think it's kind of foresaid. This is what to be expected when Bitcoin's price has came up from 16,000 now, full on passes a 2x just this year. And it went from 25,000 roughly up to 35,000 a couple of days ago, and giant move. So it's going to pique people's interest because people that are tied into Bitcoin, that are holding Bitcoin, are talking about it, and their friends and family are paying attention. Like, how much money you make? And so before they pull the trigger, they're probably going to go and get on Google and see if it's a good time to get in. I think that even at the price we're at now, you can always look in hindsight and say, oh man, I should have bought it earlier. Say the same thing when it was $800, $3,000, $8,000. You can always say that, but
$35,000?
yeah, here at $35,000, we know the direction that Bitcoin is going up and to the right. And I don't think it's overvalued at in any metric when you look at the upcoming halving and the ETF coming. I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll be around 50K post halving, post ETF, and for that reason, it seems a pretty safe bet to get in on some Bitcoin now at this price that we have at 33,000. Not financial advice, of course, but that's just something that I'm DCing into. I think it's a great time.
Aaron, any thoughts on this?
I think as there's more instability in a region, capital flight kicks up, money leaving the country. And we've seen that for the past several years in China. But I think South Korea is definitely ripe for that as well. Japan has a couple politicians that are finally trying to move the country to be more socially accepting and open to investing in crypto. There's next to none of Japanese wealth that's stored in crypto right now. They're usually the last to come on board.
And they're the third largest.
Third largest, yeah.
Yeah. So if World War III kicks off around there, you've got a ton of money in Taiwan, you've got a ton of money in Japan, South Korea that wants to find somewhere to go. I think this could be incredibly bullish for crypto.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I'm so bullish. You know what else I'm bullish on? I'm bullish on our channel sponsors. Do want to give them one last shout out. Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn more about how they can help your business scale, maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, visit bluewiretech.com. Also, big thank you to Radix. Radically Better DeFi. They are our sponsor on this channel as well. And guys, we're very picky when it comes to sponsors. And so these guys are great. They help pay the bills. And so big thank you to our sponsors. Big thank you to all of you that support this channel, whether it's by being a channel member, using our affiliate links, or just watching and sharing our stream and helping our channel grow. We
also,
appreciate
big shout out to the whales. I think we got about 11 whales right now, 10 or 11. So for those of you, those are the top tier members here.
Yeah. You're not really getting a lot back for being a whale member, but you are getting our unconditional love. And
Get your
Robin,
name in the credits and on the website.
discount.
Sporadic shout outs.
Gentlemen, any last words? And I'll kind of start with Forrest and I'll end it off with my friend Aaron.
Go pull up that gold chart. Look at that gold rally today. No, jokes aside,
Almost at 2K.
think we're seeing what's up.
That gold is almost at 2,000.
Man, you guys are sounding like Peter Schiff.
Yeah, yeah. It's at 2009.
You guys are
Oh,
acting
did
like
it cross
Um,
2,000? It crossed 2,000?
You know, Taylor
Oh, it
Swift just
crossed
became a
2000.
billionaire.
It's been pumping today.
Taylor Swift just became a billionaire. You know, her fans are called Swifties. I'm gonna start calling you guys Shifties. You sound like
Rocco,
bunch of
I
Peter
might
Schiff
I
people.
might be a
Rocco.
Peter Schiff maxi here. No, jokes aside, market's
You're not
getting
a DJ
volatile,
anymore.
but it's getting interesting.
Sorry,
Oh.
Forrest, please.
You're good. You're good. Market's getting volatile, but it's also getting interesting. Anytime you have a bullish trend like we've got right now, there's going to be pullbacks, right? There's going to be pullbacks, and you usually get rewarded for buying the dip. I think this market's particularly difficult to navigate just because there is uncertainty into whether or not this is an isolated bear market rally like we've seen in the past back in 2019, where it just ripped right back up to 14K and then bled off, or if this is the start to a new bull market a little bit sooner than what we would normally expect in the 4-year market cycle. So if anything, just be long-term minded, just have a longer time horizon. And I think that'll help everybody navigate markets more safely, for lack of a better word.
Aaron, any parting words you want our community to go into the weekend with?
Yeah, just when you're doing your portfolio construction, keep in mind that even if something's a good product, it might not be a good investment. You really have to pay attention to supply and demand of things. And tokenomics really, really matter. I would highly recommend using Quant, the QNT token, as a blueprint for what good tokenomics look like for an investable asset, where it has almost fully diluted valuation, scarce supply, huge potential addressable market, versus some of the other things that are out there. So keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with using a good product, but then you're a customer, not an investor.
That's a great point. And, we talk about it all the time, especially when we do our Rate My Portfolio, which, by the way, guys, Rate My Portfolio coming back on Tuesday. Make sure to submit your portfolio if you want it reviewed by our team here. You can either DM it to us on Twitter or join our Discord and DM me or Crypto Billy on Discord. Pretty straightforward, percentages, total value, and tell us what you want your portfolio to do for you. And we will pick one and rate it on Tuesday. So pretty hot segment there. I want to thank both of our guests for joining us today. Also, guys, make sure to follow all of these gentlemen on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Sin City Crypto 1. And with that being said, Rocco.
Ready?
Thank you so much, guys. What a great week. Make sure to come back on Monday for an even better week. We hope you enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much, everyone. We love you guys. On behalf of all of us here, peace.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.